I'm Kat.
And I'm Katie. And you're tuned in to the Kat and Katie Show.
Powered by Accelerate.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Kat and Katie Show. Today we're going to be looking at agent commissions. So this is something that might sit quite familiar to some people within Cricos. We won't be looking at the full Cricos process. What we're going to be basically looking at is what are agent commissions, how do we create an agent and apply their commissions, how do we add them to an enrollment and go through that entire process, and then how do we view in our report builder the commissions, and also how do we then assign them as paid. So that's what we'll be looking at. So there's two very different things and very different features here. One is how to manage your agents and be able to report on the commissions, and the second feature is how can you mark off that you've actually paid their commissions. Okay, so let's have a look. Alrighty, let me share my screen with you. Okay, so I'll be able to show you some type of reports in regards to agent commissions, but might not be able to show you much data simply because they sit within warehouse reports. So what I'm going to do is actually create a brand new contact that will be our agent. So I'm just going to create an agent called Tara Tree. Now, Tara Tree comes from an agency called Tree Agency. And so here you can see that for our agents, we must make sure that we have first name, surname, and an organization. You can, of course, put any other data in there that you wish, and it obviously makes sense to have some type of contact information so you can pull them into your letter of offers, for example, and also to have street addresses. I'm not going to populate that simply because we don't really need that data for this example. So I'll just go ahead and press submit. Now, once I have that set, the next thing to do is add the agent to my agent list, which falls under marketing. So let's jump into agents here, and you can see a couple of agents that I have here. And all I'm going to do is say add a new agent, and that new agent is Tara. And Tara is going to be getting 15, I'll just do 10% just so we can see the calculations quite quickly. And I can say that Tara receives 10%. She's an active agent. And then I can put the GST on commissions. Does her commissions include GST, or is she GST exempt, or does it exclude GST? So I'm just going to say excludes GST. And this is really great here is that I might have a lot of data about Tara in the past, and she's no longer an agent at the moment. Maybe she's creating her own agency, for example, and I can just make her as inactive so that I cannot select her from drop-down lists, but she still sits within my system. So let's go ahead and press submit. And now I have my agent of Tara Tree. So you might have one agency called Tree Agency, and then you might have multiple agents that all earn different levels of commission. So you can have the one organization with multiple agents applied to it. So what I'm going to do now is go into an existing student's record, and I'm going to apply the agent there. So let's say, for example, that I have, let's go into Bobby Smith. Now, another thing as well with the agents is that we'll be looking, you can also have your agents that log into your agent portal and populate this entire contact for you. So that Bobby Smith, for example, all the details, all the portfolio document uploads are all done from the agent's perspective. And we do have a Kat and Katie show on the agent portal, which I believe is next year, which seems ages away, but it's not really. So in Bobby here, I'm just going to update Bobby. And if we scroll down to the Cricos area, here, I can apply the agent. And I can say here there's a checkbox saying select only from those agents in the agent list. If I untick that one, I can search for any contact in my system. But in that regards, if you search for any contact and they're not an agent, you won't really have a percentage commission next to them. So I'll just select that one again and select from my list here of Tara Tree. Now, I believe some people might have a question. I saw a question that just came through, and I was just thinking, I don't know what the question is just yet, but I was just thinking, what happens if you want to use agents but you don't have Cricos turned on? I'm not sure if that's the question that came through, but you can still use the agents area here if you don't have Cricos, and you can say, well, these are all my sales agents who are selling on behalf of Accelerate, and I can use those opportunities to see how much, what's my forecast of opportunities, I guess. And we had a question that...
Yeah, do you want to read out the question?
Yeah.
So this is just a question regarding if not percent, e.g. a dollar amount per enrolment, what then?
Yes. So in Accelerate, the agent commissions is only percentage based. We can have a look. We will flow through this shortly where you can update per enrolment. So you can change the percentage rate to reflect what the dollar amount is per enrolment. So let's just hold tight and we'll have a look at how it all represents through to an enrolment. Okay, but great question. We'll have a look at that shortly. So just coming back to this page here, what I've done is I've gone into Bobby's contact record and I've applied the agent here. You don't need to apply the agent straight to the contact, but what this will do is it will flow through to the enrolment for you, and it just makes your life a lot easier. So we'll have a look at that process. So I'll just go submit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enroll Bobby into a enrolment. I'm going to select any enrolment here. Your agents work for both your workshops and your qualifications. It does not have to be accredited. So I'm going to enroll into the Cert 1 in business and just enroll to any of these intakes here. Maybe not that one, just this one here. Now, realistically, if you are doing Crycos, you will do a tentative enrollment. I'm not going to do that for this case. One, because I want to do the invoice and go through those processes. And two, we're not covering Crycos today. So I'll just enroll the student. And I've got my normal enrollment form. If I scroll down the bottom here, I have my agent here. Now at this stage, I can do it either here or in the next page, is I can actually untick this apply agent currency here, and I can, or current commission rate, and I can change it here to say, well, how much is the percentage that they're going to receive for this student? But I'm just going to tick it there and say it's going to be the current percentage, and it just tells you here where that commission is coming from. I'll then continue and go enroll contact, and then we get to this page here. And in this page, let's say, for example, that I'll just put in a finance code. Let's say, for example, that this student's tuition fee is $1,500, which means that the agent commission is going to receive $150, but actually the agent's only going to receive $100. Well, in that case, let me see if my maths is right. If 100 divided 1,500 is 0.66666, so let's say that in the agent commission, I put in 6.7, for example. And we'll have a look at how that reflects in the agent commissions shortly, so I can override what the commission is here. If I scroll down now, I'm just going to go into view the enrollment summary and press submit. Now, as I do that, if I go down to the finance details down the bottom, here, the only finance details that appear for me is the tuition fees. So what I can do from this point is I can report on what is the agent commission, and that sits here in our report builder. And it sits against your class enrollment. So I can go, I don't believe they sit in the live enrollments. I think they only sit in the warehouse report, but let's just have a look. Okay, I can look for the commission rate percentage, but in our warehouse reports, you can look for a lot more. So in our warehouse report, in a class enrollment, we can say search for every single person, and that even falls maybe underneath a particular agent. Okay, so I can say search for every single agent where the agent is Tara, for example. It's not going to show me any data because it's all warehoused. But I can say search for Tara, and in the display fields, I would like to see what her enrollment commission total is, or what's the gross, etc. So we can see a lot more information in your warehouse reports. We might have to jump into a different account to have a look at what that looks like, which I might just do now. I'm going to open up a new one and log into admin. The reason why I'm in staging is to demonstrate the commission, the agent commissions and managing that. So we'll have a look at that shortly. What I'll do now is just jump into our demo account so I can show you what that report actually looks like. We will have data in here. So I'll go into the report builder here and do the same thing. Oh, I love this green. Green's my favorite color. It's so pretty. Okay, so cohort enrollments warehoused. And what I'm going to do is have a look at, let's say, agent. And I can search for multiple agents here. So I might search for Nicole and Jade and David and Blair. I'm going to remove all this. I might have a date frame. But let's just say here, I'm only looking for these agents. And in the display, what I would like to see is the student name, their cohort and their qualification name. Maybe enrollment date. And then I want to have their tuition fee. And I want to have the enrollment commission total. And then I get this report here. I might also want to see, well, what's the actual percentage to see if this is all right. So I can just simply go back and I want to add in my display fields this one here, the enrollment agent commission rate, and maybe I want to sit there. And then I can see enrollment agent rate. I can see the 30%, the 20% of how much they're receiving, and then the actual enrollment. So I can see that 30% of 3,600 is 1,080.
It's just showing it in a
Yeah.
nice little progress
Yeah.
bar.
I don't know why. But that's the functionality of the reporting. So this is just simply having a look at how we can view what enrollment details or what commission details sit against someone's enrollment page. So what I'd like to look at now is, let's say in the example where the student has now paid their $2,500 and we need to pay the agent $500. Now, of course, you would pay through your accounting software system, or your payroll system. You would be paying the agent. In Accelerate, what you can do is track if the payment's actually been made and the method of payment, so that you do have that for reporting purposes. So that's why I'm in staging here. This is a new feature that we have that comes along with the agents, if you have that turned on, and it's available. I'm not sure when it's going to be available, but it's currently in our staging.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in our staging environment as well. And if you wanted to test it as well, we're more than happy for you to turn it on or to have it available for you in your staging account. So let's go and have a look at what it is. That sits under our finance and agent commissions. And in here, if I just jump into the agent commissions, what we're going to be looking at now is, how do I search for all of my commissions for either one particular agent or all agents within particular date frames. Now, before I do this, I just want to highlight here that what I'm looking for is actual invoices that have been paid, because I cannot pay an agent until I receive the money from the student. So let's have a look for some troubleshooting. If I select Tara, I know that there's an invoice, or I know at least there's a student for Tara, and if I go search, there's nothing there, but I know that there's a student against Tara. And it's simply because I do not have a paid invoice, which is great because we're not expecting to pay any commission because we haven't received any money. So let's go back into our good old friend Bobby Smith. And what I'll do is go into its enrollment, which is the November intake 2017, and in the finance details, I'm going to raise an invoice for this tuition fee, and then I'll mark it as paid. So just to recap here, the benefits of having a look at the reporting system that we just had a look at here is we can see every single enrollment and what the enrollment commission total is. So we can kind of forecast what are we expecting to receive. For example, here we can do simple math to realize what's our net value. But this section here, we need to still raise the invoice to then actually mark the commissions paid. So I'm just going to quickly generate an invoice and assume that I've also got the payment as well. So very quick turnaround. And now I have my paid invoice. So if I jump back into my agent commissions here, and I do the same thing and I search for Tara, I can filter down on particular dates if I wish, but I do not want to. And I can search, and there's my invoice. Now what I want to do is I'm looking for commissions that have not yet been paid, and then I want to put them into a batch. And the batch is the payments that I'm making. So you might do this weekly, you might do this fortnightly, you might do it daily, whatever you wish. And you have a batch for each different one. Or you might have a quarterly batch, and every single day you just assign to that batch. So down the bottom here we have, by default, it always says new batch. And here it always puts today's date in. And if you drop down, you can see that I've already created a batch for today that I can assign it to. Or I can say, no, I want a new batch, and my new batch is going to be quarter 4 2017. Or for those people that go on financial quarters, you can say quarter 2 2017 or quarter 2 2017-18. Anyway, you can see how you can create a new batch. Okay, so that's my new batch here. And with Tara, I'm going to say add Tara's to that batch. And then it automatically pushes me to the agent commission side where it says, okay, now we've got a batch. Would you like to mark these as paid? So I can say, yes, I want to mark this one as paid, and I'm going to edit the selected item so that I can say, what was the payment method and has it been paid out? So if I go edit selected item, I can say that I paid through a direct deposit, for example, and the reference number is this. I don't have to add a reference number and I don't have to add notes. I can simply say mark as paid and then put the pay date. Maybe it was yesterday that I paid, and apply to selected. And then we simply submit. And now you can see all my different agents here. So I can say search for paid commissions for batch quarter 2 and search. And then we can filter down. Or I can say search for unpaid commissions for quarter 2. So what I'm going to do now is quickly do that process again for multiple agents, and we'll have a look at what it looks like. I've set up some agents and new students already, and because it was earlier this morning and I couldn't think, it's agent A and student A and agent B and student B. I'm really sorry, but that's all I can do. So what I'll do is I'll go into a random class here. I'll go into this assessment example that we've used before, and I'm going to enroll student A. Now student A already has, if I've selected the right student A, already has the agent of agent A applied. Okay, so I've done all that pre-stuff already. So I'll just go ahead and enroll contact. I'm then going to, choose a bank account, say the commission's 10% and the value's $1,000 or $10,000. And I'm going to raise student invoice now and submit. Create invoice. And I'll just go through that process again of marking the invoice as paid. I'll just go back to that enrollment so I can go back into the class, and I'm going to enroll student B. Again, student B has an agent of agent B.
So creative.
I know. And I'm thinking, whoa, if this guy's going to be $10,000, for example, I do have some clause that if they do have between, I don't know, let's say $1,000 to $8,000, they earn 20%. But then if it's anything above $8,000, I only do 15%. So you can see how you can manually change it there. Or let's say that I'm going to give them $100 for every sale they do, no matter what the price is. Or realistically, you might say if it's $10,000, I'll give you a little bit more. So I can say, well, what's the percentage of $100 divided 10,000, which is 1%. So let's go 1% for this sale. And raise that invoice and submit. And then I'll mark the invoice as paid. So you can see that very rarely would you be able to do the process from woe to go within a 20-minute block like we're doing now, but you can see the dependencies that are required to do the agent commissions. So to finish off our session, let's go into agent commissions to have a look at all of our different agents. So you can see that I can search for unassigned commissions for particular invoices or particular dates or particular agents. Or I can just search to say, show me everything. Show me everything that's been unassigned. And unassigned means it has not been added to a batch. Okay, so if we look at this here. Okay, so this one here, I was just thinking, what did I do wrong here? But 1% excluding GST is $100 plus a GST of 10 means that I'm paying them $110. I just thought, why?
Try.
Yeah, I was just thinking, why did I get my percentage wrong there? But what you can do is if their 1% includes a GST is at the agent level, and I'll see if I can update. Let's have a try. Let's go into agent B and let's change, let's go into agent B and change it to including GST and submit. And let's see if this updates. I'll just refresh my screen. Yes. So here we can say, yes, I only received $100 and that's the gross amount. And so I just made sure that the GST was included in my 1%. Okay, so let's add them to a batch. And what we're going to do is add both of our agents to our existing batch of Q2 and add to batch. And then we get pushed here. Now we might not make the payment, okay, but
it's ready and
yeah,
waiting.
it's ready to go. You receive the payment from the student, and now the agent's expecting your payment. So then I can just select everyone, and let's say that I paid their amounts all via direct debit. I don't have to go agent by agent. I can just say this is the direct debit. If I did have a reference number per individual direct debit, I will have to do it individually. But if I'm just going direct deposit, mark as paid, as today, for example, and apply to selected, and then submit, I then have all of my payments. And I can search to say, okay, search for every paid commission in Q2. And then I can see that a little bit neater. How much have I paid? And you can also see that if I do a search for everything, how agent A is in one group, so we can see total net for that one agent. Okay, so I can have a quick, nice report there of how much I'm paying that agent, and you can then also download this as a CSV file if you need to export it. Alrighty.
So I might just add, I know Kat did mention this, that obviously we're in staging and we're looking at this one little aspect, I guess, of everything that Kat went through today. But everything is available to you aside from this one aspect of just this page that we're on at the moment, or these two little tabs that we're on at the moment. So you can still be setting up all your agents, you can still be assigning them to students, you can still use all of the report functionality to, you know, get out all of this information up until the time that this is available, and it will be pretty soon. But it's great that Kat's now gone through all of that so you can see what is coming. But yeah, that's kind of the only part. I know Kat made it pretty clear, but just want to make it crystal clear. It's the only part that's not available right now to you in your accounts.
Okay, are there any questions at all? And Bettia, did we answer your question at all?
Maybe. Oh,
okay,
yes,
perfect.
thanks. Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, have a lovely. Oh, let's show our faces. I was about to end the session. Have a lovely weekend. We're really excited coming up to Christmas. You could use gotcha for names.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's just you. You can turn your microphone on if you wish. Oh, Game of Thrones. Maybe we should. That's much better than Agent A, Agent B, Agent C. Sorry, I was really exhausted and just trying to put it in. But good tip. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in the next Kat and Katie show.
Thanks for sitting in.
Bye.
Bye.
Powered by Accelerate.